Hey everyone, and welcome to what's happening in World of Warcraft with information that we saw in BlizzCon 2018 last night. So, just as a brief recap on patch 8.1, we know predominantly everything about 8.1. We've been able to test it on the PTR for at least a month now. So, just as a quick recap, we do have a release date for patch 8.1, which is the 11th and 12th of December. And we do know that the new raid is going to be released in early January, so we don't have to worry about any progression over the Christmas period. We know that they're going to be making changes to Azeroth armor. We also know they're going to be introducing a doubloon vendor. They're going to be doing things to make ults easier for us. And one thing which I was really happy with was they are looking at the war mode bonus. They mentioned about increasing the bonus if you are on a faction which is underrepresented, which I think is a really good change and is something that the community is giving feedback on, so they are listening. We also know that the story is going to be progressed through the war campaign, and this will ultimately lead up to patch 8.1.5. With this, we saw two new updates to the allied races that we knew were joining us. So first of all, the dazar'alor trolls. They look pretty cool in my opinion, and the heritage armor looks pretty damn good. We also saw that they can be a whole host of classes, including paladins, which I am really looking forward to. The druid forms also look pretty cool, so I'm going to be transferring my Tauren Paladin to a dazar'alor one as soon as they're released. The racials are looking pretty good as well. They've got a self-heal in there, they're able to loot additional gold, and there is a glide ability, so I'm yet to see how this is going to work out. We saw more on the Culterian humans. They do have slightly less classes to pick from, but they do give the Alliance an additional race to pick if you want to play Shaman. I don't think the Druid forms look as good as the dazar'alor ones, but the Heritage armor does look pretty good, and you even have to admit that the new horse mount that the Alliance are getting, it does look better than the typical horses they've been releasing so far. I'm not entirely sold on all of the racials either, but at least they do seem fitting with the race. 8.1.5 also brings with it Warlords of Draenor Time Walking, which is great news because it's more content for us to play through, even though we've done it before. But for me, it means I'll probably be able to unlock WAD flying, as I'll be able to buy the rep a lot quicker. Another quality of life change that I'm really happy with are going to be 2 new portal rooms located in Orgrimmar and Stormwind, which means that all portals that we use and any future portals that we'll be using will be in one handy location, which I think is pretty damn cool. We also saw that Warsong Gulch and Arathi Basin are getting remastered. Both of the battlegrounds looked really good. They are still being worked on, so they should look even better when they are finished. But again, it's more content that they're bringing up to a more current standard, which I don't think is a bad thing. They did also show some footage of players competing against new AI controlled characters in a battleground, and they were really excited by this. However, I'm quite skeptical on this, as I do think it feels very different to play against AI in an island expedition, for instance, than against an actual player control character. So I'm not entirely sure on how good this is going to be. There are also going to be more updates and new content in the form of the Brawlers Guild. There's going to be micro holidays. There's going to be chances for us to go back to Vashj'ir and swim underwater in everybody's favourite zone, which ultimately is a good thing. So we then got an insight into patch 8.2, which is named The Rise of Azshara. We didn't get a release date, so we can still expect this to be quite a while. There are going to be 2 new zones for us to explore and see content in during this patch. So the first zone is the expected Nazjatar. It feels very similar to Suramar, with multiple areas in, such as the Kelp Forests, the Ship Graveyard, which ultimately has us working towards Azshara's Eternal Palace, where we'll end up fighting her in a new 8-boss raid. The 8-boss raid does sound pretty cool, and it will hopefully progress us through the story even more, and there's also a possibility of an underwater boss. Now, this is either going to be really good or really terrible, and to be fair to them, they did joke around the feedback that they were looking forward to receiving back off the back of this boss. I'm quite looking forward to this zone, and I hope that we get a really cool storyline prior to us getting there. I'd really like to see the Horde and the Alliance fighting on the open sea, on their fleet, and they have this big epic fight on there, and they end up crashing in the ship graveyard. But that's probably not going to happen, unfortunately. We do know, though, that the Naga are going to start invading both Dazar'alor and Kultiris, and they're going to be dragging people off into the sea. So I'm quite excited to see how all this is going to unfold. So the next zone, which is something I'm not particularly sold on just yet, is Mechagon. And if you've played through the Alliance storyline of BFA, then you should remember finding a gnome that is confused as to what's behind a big metal door. Now, I've played through both sides of this storyline, and I can't remember where it is, but I am assuming it's Tiragard Sound, as that's the only place I remember seeing this type of area. So for me, it wasn't really a big part to the storyline. Ultimately, though, we're going to be going to Mechagon to help out the Mechanomes, who weren't confirmed as an allied race, and we will be helping them defeat King Mechagon. And this is going to culminate in the final fight of a new Mega Dungeon. Now, this Mega Dungeon is going to be 8 bosses. It's going to be twice as long as a typical dungeon, and it is Mythic only. Although for the Mythic point, they did have a "for now" in brackets, so hopefully that will change. So whilst it's great that we're getting even more content, I'm not entirely convinced on this, as I kind of feel like it's just been thrown in, and I don't really see how this pans out in terms of the entire BFA storyline. However, I'm happy to be proven wrong, and ultimately it is even more content for us to play. We also got to see 2 new sets of Heritage Armour being released at some point of 8.2. Taurens and Gnomes are both getting some love in regards to new armour. For me, I was really happy with the Tauren armour. I think it looks great. I have not been a particular fan of Gnomes throughout my lifetime of playing WoW, so for those of you that do play Gnomes, let me know what you think about their Heritage Armour in the comments below. There are going to be 2 new island expeditions, where we're going to be going to Crestfall and Snowblossom. The latter one being a Pandarian village, where we're going to see a return of those pesky rabbits and maybe some of the Shadowpan monks as well. 8.2 will also see flying being released, as well as a host of new mounts and a new season. So there you go. That was pretty much everything we saw, although the only thing we saw from 8.2.5 were the new Goblin and Worgen models. They do look pretty cool, and hopefully it will finally fix the armour clipping issue that you so frequently see on the Worgen models. So I know a lot of people are going to be happy about this. Overall, I'm really happy with the content that they announced. Ian did say right at the start of the presentation that they are still working on the feedback they're getting on the systems and rewards that people aren't enjoying at the moment. I kind of felt it was the way of them saying sorry without actually saying sorry. It was good to hear. So hopefully the things that people aren't particularly happy with will be addressed very soon and in the future as well. And then we can enjoy the storyline. For me, though, that is the one thing that they really want to get right, is the storyline. And with what we've seen so far, and what we know is going to be happening over the coming months, I'm not 100% convinced that they've done the best job that they possibly can. But again, I'm happy to be proven wrong. So there you go. That was just a quick insight into what was announced at BlizzCon 2018 for WoW last night. If you like what you saw and you want to see any more updates, please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll be releasing more stuff in the coming days and weeks. Thanks very much.